Here's the story turning heads across tennis right now. Alex Eala has arrived in New York with more attention around her than ever before, and this time, the buzz isn't only about what she might do with a racket. Reports and social media chatter have linked the 21-year-old Filipina star with a VIP invitation to New York Fashion Week. That invitation has not yet been independently confirmed by a major official source, so it's important not to present it as a done deal. But here's what is absolutely clear. The reason people are even talking about Ela in the same conversation as one of the world's biggest fashion events is because her influence has exploded far beyond tennis. Over the past several weeks, Ela has gone from rising WTA star to one of the most talked about young athletes in sports, and New York may be the perfect stage for the next chapter. Before she even plays her first singles match at this year's US Open, fans are already talking about her outfit, her Nike merchandise, her endorsements, her Filipino identity, and the enormous crowds following her everywhere she goes. In other words, Ela Mania has officially made it to the Big Apple. One of the biggest reasons for all this attention is Nike's US Open collection. Ela revealed a striking royal blue Nike Court Slam dress priced at around $140 in the United States, and it immediately became a major conversation piece among tennis fans. The look features black and white trim along with large mesh sections on the sides and back, giving it a basketball-inspired feel that fits perfectly with New York's street sports culture. Nike designed the mesh to improve ventilation, but fans were talking about something much bigger than the technical details. For Filipino supporters, that bold blue instantly brought to mind the colors of Philippine national teams in sports like basketball, volleyball, and soccer. So for many fans, this wasn't simply another tennis dress. It looked like Alex was carrying a little bit of the Philippines onto one of the biggest stages in American sports. And then Nike dropped something even more personal, a 42 black Alex Eala tennis t-shirt. The oversized shirt includes floral graphics, Ela's name across the back, Nike branding, and the familiar "Just Do It" slogan. Ela couldn't hide her excitement when she shared it with her massive social media audience, writing, "I have my own shirt," before adding, "You know what to do." Her fans definitely understood the assignment. Reports said the first wave of inventory disappeared incredibly fast, with the shirt selling out shortly after becoming available, although some sizes later returned as Nike inventory shifted. That detail matters because it shows how powerful Ela's fan base has become. This isn't just people liking Instagram posts or cheering from the stands. Supporters are spending money, buying merchandise, traveling to tournaments, and turning her appearances into events. Some fans actually criticized the black shirt, calling the design too simple and arguing that Nike could have done much more for a player with such a colorful story and identity. But that criticism created one of the strangest contradictions of the entire launch. People were complaining about the design while the product was disappearing from stock. That tells you something. Fans weren't necessarily buying the shirt because it was the most groundbreaking piece of tennis fashion they had ever seen. They were buying it because Alex Eala's name was on it. And that may be the clearest sign yet that her star power has entered another level. The floral theme also carries a deeper meaning. Ela's relationship with Nike has increasingly included details connected to her Filipino heritage. At Wimbledon in 2025, Nike gave her a custom hair tie inspired by the sampaguita, the national flower of the Philippines. Then at Wimbledon in 2026, her gear featured the Tagalog phrase, "Kapag lumago, hindi na hihinto," which roughly means, "Once it grows, it cannot be stopped." It turned out to be a pretty fitting message for what was happening to her career. Ela has spoken about how meaningful it is to bring elements of Filipino culture with her onto the court. To her, those details are more than decorations. They represent where she comes from, the people supporting her, and the identity she carries every time she steps onto a major stage. Earlier Nike designs created with Filipino artist Georgina Camus also incorporated the sampaguita theme, giving Ela's merchandise a visual connection to home. That's why some fans wanted the new US shirt to go even further with Filipino-inspired design. Still, whether people loved the shirt or wanted more from it, the demand spoke louder than the debate. And the merchandise frenzy is only one piece of a much bigger story. Ela's rise on the court has been historic. Earlier this month in Washington, D.C., she defeated Jessica Pegula to capture her first WTA Tour singles title, becoming the first player from the Philippines to win a WTA Tour-level singles championship. Her road to the trophy was anything but easy. She battled through a field loaded with established stars, and that victory gave her momentum at exactly the right time ahead of the North American hardcourt swing and the US Open. She had already made another major breakthrough at Wimbledon, where she defeated defending champion Iga Swiatek tech and reached the fourth round, becoming the first Filipina to reach the second week of a Grand Slam. Think about how quickly this has changed. Not long ago, Ela was fighting simply to qualify for the biggest tournaments. Now she is entering New York as a legitimate top 20 level threat with growing expectations around her. Her latest official WTA ranking remains number 20 while the rankings are frozen during Cincinnati, with live projections placing her around number 18 ahead of the next official update. That means she is on track for another historic US Open moment as one of the highest-ranked Filipino tennis players the sport has ever seen. But with that rise comes something new: pressure. Every time Ela practices now, more people seem to show up. Every tournament appearance attracts more Filipino flags. Every outfit gets analyzed. Every endorsement becomes news. That kind of attention can be exciting, but it also changes the experience of being a young athlete. Suddenly, you're not simply preparing for your next opponent. You're carrying expectations from fans across the Philippines, Filipino communities around the world, sponsors, brands, and an international audience that wants to see what happens next. Yet Ela appears to be embracing that bigger platform. Her partnership with Marriott Bonvoy is another sign of how brands now see her. Marriott recently named Ela the face of its Tennis the World campaign across Asia-Pacific excluding China, describing her as authentic, inspiring, and strongly connected to the region. That partnership isn't just another logo added to her sponsorship portfolio. It places Ela at the center of a major international travel campaign built around tennis experiences, tournament access, and fan engagement. That is the kind of deal usually associated with athletes whose appeal goes well beyond match results. Brands are looking at Ela and seeing a personality, a story, a cultural connection, and a fan base that travels with her. That's why all the fashion conversation makes sense. Whether or not the New York Fashion Week invitation circulating online is ultimately confirmed, Ela is already moving into lifestyle territory. Her outfits create headlines. Her shirts create demand. Her cultural details start conversations. Her endorsements reach outside the traditional tennis world. And all of this is happening while her tennis is getting better. New York will give fans an early look at that growing star power during the Stars of the Open exhibition at Arthur Ashe Stadium on August 27th. Ela is scheduled to face her friend Iva Jovic as part of an event featuring some of the sport's most exciting young names, with a portion of the proceeds supporting the USTA Foundation and programs for young people and under-resourced communities. Just imagine the scene: Arthur Ashe Stadium, Filipino flags throughout the crowd, one of tennis's fastest rising young stars under the lights, and a fan base ready to turn an exhibition into something that feels much bigger. And then comes the real test: the US Open itself. Arthur Ashe Stadium is where tennis legends have produced moments people remember for decades. For Ela, simply arriving in New York this year carries a completely different feeling from previous seasons. She isn't arriving as an unknown player hoping people notice her. People are already watching. She has a WTA title. She has a historic Wimbledon run. She has victories over elite opponents. She has Nike merchandise bearing her name. She has a major Marriott partnership. She has a royal blue US Open look that fans are already talking about. And now there's fashion world speculation surrounding her before the tournament has even started. That's why the phrase, Ela effect, suddenly doesn't sound exaggerated. Her story is becoming about more than forehands, rankings, and scoreboards. It's becoming a story about representation, identity, business, fashion, and what can happen when a player from a country without a long tradition of elite singles success suddenly breaks through on the global stage. For Filipino fans, every milestone feels personal because Ela is creating many of these milestones for the first time. For American tennis fans, especially those seeing her in New York, she represents one of the sport's most intriguing new personalities. And for brands, she represents something just as valuable: a young athlete with authentic cultural roots and an audience that clearly wants to follow her journey. The big question now is whether all that momentum can translate when the matches truly matter. Fashion buzz is exciting. Selling merchandise is impressive. Major endorsements can transform a career. But once the ball goes up at the US Open, Alex Eala will have to do what got her here in the first place: compete. And considering how rapidly she has climbed over the past year, nobody should assume they know where the ceiling is. Maybe New York becomes another historic chapter. Maybe the US Open delivers another breakthrough. Or maybe this is simply the beginning of something even bigger. One thing is certain: Alex Eala is no longer arriving quietly. The tennis world is watching. The fashion world is starting to pay attention. Brands are lining up, and Filipino fans are making sure every arena knows exactly who they came to see. Now all eyes eyes turned to New York. How far can Alex Eala take this incredible run?